In a valley wrapped between ancient mountains, there lived a giant named Arden. He was feared by many, not because he was cruel, but because of his size. His footsteps shook the ground, his shadow swallowed fields, and his voice echoed like thunder. Villagers whispered stories about him, warning children never to go near the forest where he lived. But the truth was different. Arden lived alone because he believed the world had no place for someone like him. He tried to help once, lifting fallen trees, carrying heavy stones, but people ran away in fear. Over time, the giant's heart grew quiet and tired. He stopped helping. He stopped hoping. He believed strength had made him a curse. One afternoon, as Arden walked near a stream, he noticed something small struggling in the water. It was an ant, desperately trying to climb onto a floating leaf. The current was strong, and each time the ant climbed, it slipped again. Arden paused. What difference would it make, he thought. I am too big to help something so small. Yet something stirred in him. Slowly, carefully, he dipped his finger into the stream, creating a still pocket of water. The ant climbed onto his finger and scurried to safety. The ant stopped, turned back, and lifted its tiny head, as if bowing. Arden smiled for the first time in years. Days passed. Seasons shifted. One evening, dark clouds gathered, and a storm unlike any other swept through the mountains. Lightning split the sky, and rain fell in furious sheets. Arden was deep in the forest when the ground beneath him trembled. A hidden pit, dug long ago by hunters, collapsed under his weight. The giant fell. The pit was deep, its walls slick with mud. Arden tried to climb, but the rain made the soil crumble beneath his hands. Every attempt drained his strength. The storm raged on, and fear crept into his heart. So this is how it ends, he whispered. A giant, helpless. As night fell, Arden closed his eyes, exhausted. Far above, near the edge of the pit, a tiny ant appeared. It was the same ant Arden had saved. The ant looked down into the darkness, seeing the giant trap below. Without hesitation, it ran back to the forest floor, tapping other ants with urgency. Soon, dozens became hundreds. Hundreds became thousands. They worked silently through the storm. Ants began biting and loosening the soil at one side of the pit, creating a gradual slope. Others carried away mud, grain by grain. It was slow work, painfully slow, but they did not stop. By dawn, the rain weakened. Arden stirred and noticed something strange. One side of the pit felt firmer, shaped, not natural. He touched it. A slope. With great effort, the giant climbed, slipping, struggling, but finally pulling himself out. As he stood trembling on solid ground, he looked down and saw the ants gathered below. Among them was one ant standing still. Arden knelt carefully, lowering his massive face close to the earth. He said softly. You saved me. The ant did not speak, but its presence was enough. In that moment, Arden understood something he had never learned in all his years of strength. Power is not measured by size. Kindness is not measured by weight. And no life is ever too small to matter. From that day on, Arden changed. He began helping again, but differently. He learned to move gently, to listen, to notice the smallest lives around him. He protected ant hills from harm, redirected streams to save nests, and taught villagers that fear often comes from misunderstanding. Slowly, people returned to the forest, not with weapons, but with trust. And Arden was no longer known as the giant who frightened the valley. He became known as the giant who remembered the small,